Remove it. Take it away. Because you're trying to make this about the money when you're not even ready to be able to call the market correctly. Every time you look at the chart, if you have that minuscule account balance, push the button, you're in a trade. You're trading the smallest lots. And so I'm not beating you up. I'm just saying, I saw a clip sent to me and they asked, do I subscribe to that view? I'm like, no. I'm not knocking you. I'm not, trying to be rude or anything, but you have a lot of followers. And people with a lot of followers have a great deal of influence. And I'm trying to be as responsible as I possibly can and still not be, well, disrespectful. By taking any trade when you have zero understanding of what it is that you're doing, you have zero understanding about what you're going to feel as a trader while you're in a trade. Everybody will come to that threshold eventually when they put a live account on and they push that first button. But don't rush that. For years, I made YouTube videos. Never monetized them. Never did any of it. My son told me multiple times, Dad, why don't you just turn on ad revenue? I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do it. And then when my daughter says, no, I can't trade, Dad. Okay. So I'm not going to just dip into my money every month and say, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my ass off and take on risk and do this, and I'm going to, prop you up in your lifestyle because you don't want to trade. I'm making it available to you. It's on the YouTube channel. Everybody else is doing it. And every time I see people, and I share it on my Twitter feed, I share it on my community posts, here's people doing your model. My daughter still is not motivated by that. You got people out there saying, oh, if ICT was so good at trading, his own kid doesn't even want to trade. Doesn't that tell you something? No, it just tells you she's a woman that's very stubborn. Okay, that's all it is. She's stubborn. She doesn't want to do it. Okay, you can't make her. Husbands, you can't make them do what you want them to do. So stop trying. So I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm not going to lose my mind over that. So my ad revenue goes right to my daughter. Anytime she needs something, there's the kitty. There's the cookie jar it comes out of. Now, why am I even mentioning that? You prove that there is a value to it. People come to that channel, they watch videos, it's great, wonderful, okay? I've always could have been making this ad revenue, but I didn't worry about it. Just like your trading, you already know. Nobody needs to be reminded. If you do this right and you did it with a live account, what's going to happen? You're going to have more money in that account before you put that trade on. It's expected, right? That's why you're here. That's why you're even listening to me. That's what you're listening to me to get to that point where you don't have to listen to this stuff anymore. You can go out and get your own money, get your own bag. But you don't even realize the things I'm talking about that are outside that chart that's going to prevent you from doing it. That's the stuff that's in the way, but you don't see it. You have blinders on. Like my daughter, she is in her own way. I am not going to lose my mind trying to tell her it's you, because then she'll take it as, Dad, you're making me uncomfortable and you're telling me things that's not encouraging me. So I know my limitations. I'm telling you as your mentor in trading, I know your limitations. And as a human being, you will not learn anything correctly by going right into a live account. Here's what you're going to learn. I should have never done that. And that right there, that moment, that I wish I wouldn't have done that. You need to go in and lose money to know that you shouldn't have done that. That's asinine. Why do you need to have that scar? You really need that to know that if you push the button incorrectly, you're going to lose money. You need to know that. You don't already know that. That's what goes on in this business all the time. People lose all the time. They blow their account, margin call, out of the business, goodbye. You need that to make it real for you. Because I'm going to tell you something. As soon as you do that, that right there, that's the shoe in your rock. Oh, I said that wrong. That's the rock in your shoe that you'll walk with the rest of your career. It'll play. I got that. I did from 1993 that creep into my mind when I still do trades today. And you see how precise I am. And that still comes up in my head. And you have to be able to say, get behind me. I'm focusing on what I'm doing right now. Now, it took a lot of decades and years to get to where I can do that today. But do you think you have the wherewithal to do that as a new startup? You do not. I don't give a shit where you came from, what you can do. You can't do that, folks. This is hard. And you're placing all of that unnecessary pressure and stress on yourself when you don't even know who you are as a trader. You don't even know what you're doing. You have no idea what you're doing, what you're going to finally settle in on as a model. So apparently it's not hard enough for you. You want to go out there and make it an Olympic feat. Because deep down inside, what you really want to be able to tell the world is, I never did a demo. I went out there and I started making money right from Jump Street. And that never happens. It never happens. Because you pick up bad habits. What habits? Being fearful. When I place a trade, I don't give up what's going to happen. I don't care. If it goes to my target, great. I have trades constantly popping up in my understanding about what I'm looking at in price. I can go through any market and scan through any time frame. I will find a setup. You will be able to do that at the end of this year. That's a guaranteed promise. You're going to do that. But you have to go through the right stages of learning. And you can't be worrying about money. Think about it. Look, folks. I mean, this is the last time I'm ever going to mention this. This is pissing me off now. And think about it. The fact that you're listening to this guy talking to you right now, what does that communicate to you? Look in the audience members. Look how many people. I don't know. I don't ever look at it because I'm afraid I'll see a name that I know, and I'll think to myself, "Wow, I said that many f-bombs in front of that person. How embarrassing." So this way, I can just talk unfiltered, and I don't give a fuck if I offend somebody. It's not intended. It's meant for you to be improved upon. And yes, this is abrasive. I'm like sandpaper. I'm smoothing out your rough edges with me being coarse. But you need to hear this kind of stuff. But the fact that you're here listening to me, what does that mean? You could be doing anything you want to do on Saturday. You're spending it here with me, or watching this, or listening to this later on, or watching a video on YouTube that somebody's taken and uploaded. You're listening to this because you don't have your shit together. You got a job. It pays your bills, maybe barely, or maybe it does pay your bills, but you're not satisfied. You want more. Okay, wonderful, perfect. Every night when you can barely make your bills, gentlemen, ladies, think about it for a second, okay? Seriously. You're laying your head down on your pillow and you're thinking to yourself, it's middle of the week. I still got this many days to still work, and all of my money for my paycheck is already spent. What am I going to do? You have to rest because you have those days to go to work and do what's necessary to get that money that you haven't really secured yet. You haven't even done the work yet, and you're worrying about your money. You can't make that go away because you're worrying about it. And even when you do the work and you finish that work week, you already know that you still don't have enough money to meet your bills. That's the equivalent of what you people are doing, trying to go out there with a live account. You're putting unnecessary stress. You're not going to make more money because you did that with a live account before you should have. The only thing you're going to do is cause sleepless nights. You're making it harder. I'm telling you not to do it. You're still wanting to do it. Guy tells me, oh, ICT, I shit the bed yesterday and non-farm payroll. I feel really bad about myself. You're doing everything I told you not to do. I told you don't trade non-farm payroll. I told you don't go on social media and boohoo. Don't record it like that. What are you doing? You're doing everything backwards. And who are you talking it to? You're talking it to me like I can cause that for you. That's exactly what you're going to see people doing this year. They're going to get in there. They're going to push a button based on what I'm talking about in the marketplace. They're going to hurt themselves. And they're going to make in videos and say, ICT shit doesn't work. Look, here's the proof. No, yeah, you're right. You want a mentor? You want somebody to tell you how to do this? Guide you through the jungle, show you where the quicksand is. Here's where the snake pits are. This is the shit that's going to rip your ass off. Avoid those things. Why? Why? Because you have a character flaw. And you're walking around with blinders on, trying to ignore it. And looking for any opportunity to put the blame and fault on your failure, something outside of yourself. That's the ugly part about this business. It is a mirror that you can't hide your real self. Everything that's wrong with you is going to manifest itself in your trades. You're impatient, you're going to see it. You're reckless, you're absolutely going to see it. You're impulsive and gamblers, you're really going to see it. I'm in drawdown. I better go to max leverage. No stop loss. And that's a mentor. That's a mentor doing that. That's a gambler. That's somebody that does not know what they're doing. I get animated and I get heated like this, and you might hear this stuff out of context and listen to it, just a small clip, like this guy's nuts. I am the you want to listen to. I've done it all. I know how to get you here. I've proven it every single day for years. Years and years. Where's your record at ICT? It's in the annals of history. Ask my students, why aren't they out there saying they don't work? But there's more people coming forward, making money, making annual salaries, Where's the proof? Find your own proof. Find it. It's waiting for you. You got to step out there and do the work that every one of these people that are making real progress and real money, they're not even worried about you. They're in their own world right now, running after their dreams, pursuing excellence. They don't give a shit about their parents, what they thought about it now. They don't give a fuck about their friends. You're out of here. That's the way it's supposed to be. That's why I'm here. All I want is for you to people to just simply do what's necessary. You got 1 year. You got 1 year. If you don't do the work this year, it's all on you. It's all on you. But it's needless stress that you put on yourself. Needless. And you don't even recognize it. You've put all this extra on yourself, on something that's already complicated, because you have to beast this monster, this juggernaut of a trader that's trapped inside of you, that's dying to get out. But you're so formidable, you're preventing it. And you have to get out of the way. You got to let that happen. You got to let that beast out of the cage and let it find a thorn in its paw. Let it break a claw and that little bit of pain. It's okay. It's okay. It still will eat. It still will devour. It still will conquer. It still will get out there and take its pound of flesh. And that will be results. That's money. But you have to let the process unfold naturally, organically. You can't try to protect yourself and do all these things that is bad advice from people that shouldn't be listened to in certain respects. Anybody, and listen to me, I don't care who it is, anybody tells you the best way to learn how to trade in the beginning is to skip a demo and go right into live trading, never listen to that again. Period. There it is. That's my opinion on that matter. Period. Because these markets will rip your ass apart and mentally warp your ass. I have friends that no longer breathe. They're below ground. 2 of them skip demo. Sorry. Anybody that tells you skip a demo, go right into live trading is absolutely clueless. That's just the bottom line. That's just the bottom line, and that goes for anybody. That is the worst advice anybody could ever give or receive in terms of speculation in these marketplaces. Because the only thing that will do is present you toxic thinking. You are creating the very things that you're supposed to be mastering as a trader: fear and greed. And the only thing by trading with live money, before you know how to trade or even manage risk, that's the only outcome that's going to come from that. You're going to learn. You're going to absolutely learn. You will have personal experience with fear and greed immediately. And that goes for the rest of your career now. It takes so much effort and emphasis on balancing those characteristics once you adopt them. Because once you have them, you have them. You have them. It's it. It's over. It's like a scarlet letter. The wrestling match that the trader has to do the rest of the career to master themselves and be able to beat that off, creeping into their next trade idea. It's hard. And why would you want to do that? You listen to these people out here, they ain't making real money, okay? They're not. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. They tell you not to do that. They have not made real money. Because I'm going to tell you something. People that made real money will tell you straight up, you got to respect risk. You have to know what you're doing. You have to present yourself in a position where you aren't being tugged back and forth with fear. Oh my gosh, I might get stopped out. What happens if I get stopped out? It's demo. You're learning how to be comfortable with being wrong. Now, that's already hard for men. It's hard. You don't think so? Ask somebody out this tonight when you go out to the club tonight. Ask them out. First good looking person you see in the club. Walk up to them, ask them out. What are you going to feel when they say, I got a boyfriend, I got somebody else? No, I don't want your drink. What are you going to feel? It's going to make you feel like you wish you never left your house. Now, that same mindset, you're going out there looking to get turned down immediately. And for a man, when we lose money or if we get something incorrect or if we're turned down, that totally wrecks us. Not me. I'm top G, baby. They're coming at me all angles. Every man thinks this way. Tell them they don't have it downstairs and watch how fast they turn into a little boy. Women have amazing power over men. And that's exactly what you invite. You invite that same easy, flawless victory over yourself by going out there and trading with real money before you're ready. You're asking for it. You're absolutely begging for it. And not realizing that that is so detrimental to you as a trader for the rest of your life. It creates a thought process that will always be referred to continuously going forward. Whereas if you simply just do what I'm asking you to do, it costs no money. It does the best job of teaching you to prepare your mindset for focusing on what the market's doing. Not is it going to give you your money or not? Or is it going to take enough that you can still sleep at night? I'm not worried about that. You shouldn't be worried about that. You respect the level of risk that's out there because it's always potentially every trade you get into is a losing trade. You have to cover the costs. Until you cover the costs and close the trade out in profit, it's not profitable. Realized gain, that's the only profit. And it has to be above and beyond the costs, fees and commissions, spreads. See, everybody walks around in this industry in the beginning with blinders on. And it's very frustrating for me, having been around a longer time than most of you, also suffering more than most of you would ever endure, and just stupid advice, dumb advice. impulsive nature. Maybe you didn't even hear it from somebody else. Maybe you didn't hear it from another influencer. They just simply go out there and start trading with live money. That's the best way to learn. It's not. That is not. The proper procedure is learn the basics about the marketplace. Learn risk management. Then tape read, not demo, tape read. Study real market action. Back test, look at old moves, study it in great detail, log, journal. What do you want to gravitate towards as a setup? Some of you already know what that is generally, but because you see me or someone else do a video, that's how I want to trade. When that's not even the best way for you, particularly specifically aligned with your personality. You just think that's awesome. Well, that's awesome. You know what's awesome? You know what's awesome to me? Watching Mike Tyson walk out there with a towel wrapped around his head, no socks, rip some guy in 30 seconds, walk out there and make $30 million. That was awesome. It doesn't mean I'm going to be able to do that, but I can respect it. I can get in my area where I work out and I can stand in front of my mirror and I could do shadow boxing and think I'm the bee's knees, but I'm not getting into the ring with no Mike Tyson. I know my limitations. But the problem is because of social media, we think that I can do that too. Watch me. And then it's over. As fast as you got that money in that account, it's gone. What did you learn? I should have never done that. I didn't know as much as I thought I did. Oh, wow. I can lose a lot faster than I thought I could have. Yeah. So the process is basic understanding about markets, risk management. Before you even start studying live price action or backtesting, you have to know risk management. By doing such, and it's the boring topic that nobody wants to hear about, but that's the part that gets you rich. I don't want to hear about that ICT. That's the part that gets you rich, pal. That's the part that tells Carl, keep your desk job out of here. That's the part. That's the stuff that gets you there. When you go to listen to anybody else in any other industry, you go to them and they talk to you. They're imparting their wisdom. You went there because you know they're going to talk about this one thing that you went there to listen to. And you can't stand everything else they're talking about because it's not scratching that itch. All that shit is your limited perspective about what it is that you should be doing. You're coming to someone that's the professional, the person that's in a better vantage point than you, more experience, done more than you, and you're coming to them, me or anyone else, and you're saying, I don't want to hear all this. Get to the point. The point is, you're the problem. You have to be teachable. You can't cherry pick what it is you think is going to work for you when you have no experience. And that's what you're doing when you go out there with a live account. You're discovering you need that lesson monetarily in terms of a loss, the embarrassment, the shame, the pride, the regret, knowing damn well what you were going to do was a gamble. You might as well just take that money, go buy some scratch offs. You're probably better off. After learning basic understanding about the marketplace. What is that? What market you're following? What times does it trade? What's its minimum fluctuation? What does it look like? What has it done historically? What's the margins? How much does it take to trade it? Then risk management. How much are you going to worry about incurring per trade? It's going to change once you start really trading. It'll definitely be different because in the beginning you think, I can do 2%. No, you can't. You can't. Trust me. Because as soon as you put your first live trade on, and if it's a Forex pair, and you see immediately it's a negative, as soon as you put the trade on, you're underneath the dealing spread, and then it has a little bit of a drawdown against you, you really feel that 2% is too much. And now what are you thinking about? What bad advice tells you to do all the time? Get in there with a small account and learn how to trade. No, Because now you're worried about, I wish I wouldn't have pushed this trade. I wish I would have waited for more confirmation. Here's your confirmation. Don't trade with live funds until you know how to trade. That's the confirmation. Everybody that's ever made money, really, and knows what they're doing, will tell you this is the best advice. You do not give an offering to the market with money when you have no idea what you're doing. If you need to know if you do it wrong, it will take money from you. Hear it from me right now. If you go in there and you do it wrong, your money is gone. There you go. Now, going past this point, it's an IQ test. Because stupid is going to go out there and do it with a live account, not knowing how to do it. Now, you're going to pass the IQ test? An IQ test is very simple. You don't do it. Simple. Smooth brains are going to go out there and open up a live account and try to figure out how to trade like that and waste time, build toxic thinking, and be afraid of every trade they take in the future versus being indifferent to the outcome. That's the sweet spot. That's the part that it took a lot for me to get to. And before I get to that point, I'm wrestling with, oh, it just reminds me of that time I took that trade in. Right. Why? Why would I even think about that? Because I lost real money. More money than you earned in a year. I don't care where you're at. I earned, that's still equivalent. Okay. Those things hurt. For a man, it's pride, it's ego, it dashes sense of self-worth. And yes, I wish I had the money back in my hands. But I rushed into live trading before I should have. I'm telling you, with all the experience I have as teaching and with my own trading, when I first started doing it and seeing other people do it, it never pans out. And you see these people on, well, every different venue of social media. They'll look up and say, yeah, I went out there. I didn't do demo trading and I learned how to trade, blah, 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 blah. I guarantee you they wouldn't be able to sit on a live stream and call the market and not have any sense of calmness. You'd see their emotions. You got to see their face now. See their face, listen to their breathing pattern. Oh, man. Hold on, I got to go to the bathroom. Mute. They're puking their guts up. They're wishing they never would have live streamed that day. That will be the reality of it. But you don't get to see that. You don't get to see that because they're only going to give you that little snapshot, what they want you to see. And these are the same types of people who are going to tell you bad advice when that bad advice wasn't even profitable for them. So you have to guard your mind. Protect your mind while you're new because it's so easily distracted with things that's going to cause you to hurt yourself in the way you think about the market, the way you think about yourself. You'll grade yourself too early. Oh, this person understands it more than I have, and they've been studying it less than me. How do you know that they ain't been doing it longer and they just want to sound smart in front of everybody else on social media? Stop worrying about your social media equity curve. Everybody's in drawdown as far as I'm concerned. Because if you're out there constantly virtue signaling, trying to get attention, look at me, you're really in drawdown. I talk to you through the medium of a demo. I don't have any shame in it because that's the right way to learn. But you don't even touch a demo until you've tape read. You see the market do whatever you expect it to do without any transaction. Because what you've done is you've learned the basics about the marketplace, the market you're going to be following, every aspect of what it is required to trade it, the times it trades, its margin requirements. Then you understand risk, how to frame a trade in terms of monetary risk. Whatever your beginning expectations are in terms of what your trade should be allowed to take from you, and the industry standard of 2% is too high. It's too high. That's not realistic for someone starting out. You want it to be so insignificant that it literally feels like nothing to you. That's the right way to learn how to trade. And then by having that realistic expectation on yourself and your results, Then you go into tape reading, how to learn to read price. How does it move? When does these specific types of signatures that we're teaching you, when do they occur? What does it look like? How do they repeat and look very close to one another? What does it look like when it fails? What things are warning signs that it's not likely to pan out? You haven't even touched the demo account yet. And you are all still feeling impatient. Some of you already turned off this Twitter space because it ain't telling you what you want to hear. Good. Get out of here. You're not ready. You're not ready. You're not ready for me, at least. The people that are making real money, they've gone through this. And you can't shortcut it. Once you see with tape reading over and over and over again, week after week, you have at least 60% of your expectations come to fruition. What? Yeah, you got to be better than half the time right. Then, only then, go into demo. Then you're going to see another growing pain because now you're looking at it with a scorecard attached to it. Are you right now? Whereas before tape reading, you're just watching and observing, recording what your observations are. Oh, it did this, it did that. It's going to be boring for most of you that are just in here trying to copy me. That's the litmus test. It's going to be, why are you here? Because if you're here to learn how to trade, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do what I do. And you won't need me. But some of you want spoon-fed, 5-minute trainers, signals, copy me service, that type of stuff. I'm not doing that. I'm turning people into monsters. I'm turning people into savages. You want to make your yearly salary in a month? Stay with me this year. Stay with me this year, and there is no limitations, period. You're going to lose money in the process, but you want to make what you make a year in 1 month? I will give you those skill sets and how to arrive at that. But you are going to be the determining factor, how fast or at all if you get there. Not me, not the concepts, not the market. It's you. And once you get into the demo portion of learning, you trade with the lowest degree of risk you can. And you grow from that up, higher, more. As you learn to trust what you're doing isn't being influenced by the outcome. That's why it takes time, folks. It takes time. You have to desensitize yourself and condition yourself to look for the process to deliver the outcome, not the trade to make me money. Because if you do these things and you're doing everything I'm training you to do and you manage risk, the derivative is the profits, the limited drawdown, the corrections from drawdown. That's the fruits of everything I'm teaching you. But you all think you're going to have a vertical spike on your equity curve from day one, never any drawdown, never any adversities, never any difficulties in understanding what it is that you should be doing or navigating through trades. When I've told you all this time in all the rants, you're going to be dealing with that. And now you're going to equate that your failure or success is only based on your live account when you're not even ready to be trading with a live account. That's stupid. But because you have all these other influencers, these authors, these book writers, these course makers, these public figures, or your friend that's lying to you and saying he's been doing it, he's making money, but he's showing you a demo account. Everybody is going to give you everything that is diametrically opposed to what I've been beating into your head today with. And I'm the bad guy. Whatever. I'm not going to work on Monday. And I can take a vacation wherever I want. And I don't work with Carl. So who are you listening to? You didn't swipe no credit card here. There was no PayPal payments here. And you don't have to renew anything, no subscriptions. It's nothing. And I'm making monsters. And they're bringing the receipts. They themselves are doing it. You're seeing all the interviews from the companies. There's no proof. There's all kinds of fucking proof. Look around. And you're among them if you allow yourself. but you got to get out of the way. You have to get out of your own way and stop worrying about, I want to know when the gaps are supposed to stay unfilled. You'll see it. I'll teach you. But it's only going to be beneficial over live data. You'll learn it by that, by repetition, over and over again. It'll desensitize you. And you'll see even sometimes when it does fill in, like this past week here, I had 2 areas I wanted to see left open. Doesn't mean the trade fails. It just means that it's better for them to stay open, because then if it stays open, I'm really on side. That means I'm right about where I'm at in terms of my entries and where it's likely to go. Gaps that don't fill in. This is for your notes. I'm not sure if you wrote anything down I've said today, because I've been pretty animated. The emphasis on gaps not closing in. If they don't fill in, it's like rocket fuel for your trade. Why? Because it is in a hurry to reprice to a level that's outside the range it's in right now. Gaps that don't fill are signatures that tell me we're going outside the present range for external range liquidity. I'll talk more about that. Even my mentorship students in private group just learned something there too. This stuff is the sweet stuff, the sugar, okay, that makes everything I'm doing with you even sweeter. When you're in trades, you want to see specific levels that once a fair value gap forms, if you start seeing fair value gaps keep forming and not filling in, and it just keeps pressing higher, man, you are in for a sweet run. It's going to run and probably go way beyond you thought it was going to go. So every time I get into a trade, I'm looking for that signature. It might not present it, but I'm looking for it because it gives me that insight. It means that I have a tiger by the tail and I want to hold on to that. And sometimes you'll see I'll move my not my stop, but I'll move my target beyond what my original expectation is. It still doesn't mean that I won't take the blinds portion of the trade off where I originally had my take profit. It just means that, oh, I might have a bigger run here. Let me open up the gates a little bit more wider, so that way it's a clear shot for a further profit objective. But I'm still, to protect myself, because it would be foolish for me to not take profits where I originally thought the take profit or terminus would be, where I thought the trade was going to go ultimately. It would be foolish for me not to at least take most of it off there. And then let's see if I have a runner and leave a small portion on. Now, as a new student or a new trader, your questioning is, well, if you really thought that, then why would you take off nothing and just let it all run? Well, that's because I want to make money and I'm a human being and I'm prone to be human sometimes and I could do it wrong. And that's infancy on your part to think that way, and maturity on my part, because I've lost lots of money and I've made money. And you can't understand these things unless you've been there. So it's easy before you even started trading to say, well, if you're teaching this doesn't make any sense. It's counterintuitive. If you think it's going to go higher, why bother taking the partials off? That makes no sense. You incurred this much risk when you put the trade on, so therefore it's stupid to scale off profits. That's somebody that's not profitable talking to you, okay? That's somebody that's not consistently profitable. That's somebody that's talking out of their ass, or someone that's a neophyte and has no idea what they're doing, and they want perfect. And perfect doesn't exist. It doesn't, not in trading. It's never gonna be a goal you arrive at. But guess what? It's a target I aim for all the time. But I also manage myself. I manage my trades responsibly. I know that if I'm taking out a short-term low or an intermediate term low, I better damn well take something off the trade, because I might get drunk with the whole trade and think, oh, wow, it's going to really run farther. And if I don't take it off and it rips against me, well, I just sat in that whole trade. Now, the argument, here's the argument and the rebuttal to people that say partials are stupid. Let me tell you something. I've seen so many people preach against me, what I teach students to do in the beginning, because it's important. It's that little reward, that cookie. It's your yellow belt from being a white belt, progressively going towards the black belt. You're teaching yourself that you're doing everything right. You're growing in your confidence, and you're paying yourself as you grow in more thresholds and time and experience. But when I hear and see people say taking partials is stupid, because when you put a trade on, it makes no sense to say you put on a 2% risk and you're trying to do 10R. Okay. You're trying to make 10 times what you're risking. Well, you're going to learn that today. I mean, not today, this year as well. But their argument is if they put on a trade, or anyone puts on a trade, risks 2%, and they take partials off, you're not getting your full 10. I'm getting paid. What do you say when it goes back against you on your full 2% stop? What do you make? Bottom line is this. You're in this business to make money. You're not in here to make friends. Okay? That's it. Are not making money. And that's the bottom line. Why are you going to listen to somebody that they're not proven to you? They got, whether it be typed out in Twitter or on posts or on Instagram, or they talk out their YouTube, and they bring no proof that they're talking about. Zero. That's the people you want to listen to. Partials pay. Okay? Partials never fail in paying. You ever think about that? There's never been a partial profit that never paid profit. That's 100%. You don't know. You don't know if that stop loss is going to get hit on your trade. I don't know. You don't know if your target's going to get hit. I don't give a flying if it's a 50R trade, 200R. You don't know that. But guess what I do know? I know I'm getting 5 handles. I know I'm getting liquidity below that short-term low, and I'm short. Every time I bark on that Twitter feed and that delivers, you know what I know? Delivers. You're going to know that skill set this year, okay? Because the real's here. It's here. It's not myth. It's not made up. It's not conjecture. This is the market. This is how you get paid. This is how you make money. This is how you manage risk. This is how you learn. This is how you progress productively. It don't pay. You know what pays? Results. I don't need anybody to like my videos. I don't need you to listen to my Twitter spaces. I'm getting paid regardless. I'm teaching you, and it won't make a difference who believes it or doesn't believe it. It still works. And partials pay every time. It's 100% strike rate. What is wrong with that? Where's the logic in arguing against that? You're going to sit in that trade and allow it to go against you and stop your whole 2% or whatever the Mickey Mouse management you used to put it on. Oh, well, that's the randomness in the marketplace. That's just what happens. You have to strike it up as you win some, you lose some. I'm not here for 50-50. If you came here with that logic, I'm telling you something, that is going to die real quick. Because I'm not a 50-50. I want my results. I want my potential to be on side more than 50%. And if I can't argue that in my analysis, I'm not getting in there. I got to know that I have multiple position exits in terms of partials before I even get to my target. What did you just say? You better break that notebook out right now. Pull the par over so you can type it and text it to yourself immediately. Every trade that I'm looking to take, I want at least 2 partials before I get to my terminus. That's a high probability trade for me. What does that mean? It's high probability it's going to go to my terminus? No. It's high probability. ICT is getting paid. I'm showing up to the venue. That means I put my ass in front of the charts and I push the button. I'm getting paid. I'm getting paid. My royalties, I showed up. Pay me. I don't care if I close the show down and get the tournaments. I don't give a. You don't care either. You don't know. You don't know if they're going to come up with some chicken little disease and something's going to cause the market to go upside down. How do you know that's not going to happen? Can you tell me? Can you prove that you know that there is not going to be something going on Monday that causes the market to take? Do you know that? Because I don't know that. But you listen to these 20-year-olds walking around here on social media, they got everything figured out. 200R, baby. And I'm trading nano lots. For 6 years, I'm still trading nano lots, but I'm doing 200R. You gotta respect me. Come on, man. At some point, you gotta call. Partials is how you get paid. And you need that in the beginning. You need that little oomph, that push, that reminder. This is why I'm doing this. I waited all this time for the setup to happen. I'm in front of the charts. I'm pushing it. I'm in there. I need to know I'm doing the right. How do you do that? You get your yellow belt, you get your blue belt that you're working towards your black belt, which is getting trades to go to terminus, your full targets. But nobody joins any martial art, walks out there and sensei says, all right, well, you arrived. Here's your participation award. Here's your black belt. But that's what you think. You would think that with all these people on social media. They watch videos, whether it be mine or other people's, and all of a sudden they're trading in market replay and they're authorities in the whole business. It's tiresome. It's like once you taste the real, when you have filet, okay, a nice piece of filet right on the plate, and you taste it for the first time, I'm sorry. Sorry, man. You just can't have catfish, okay, and think, oh, yes, we're on the same level here. We're not. It tastes like muddy water, okay? You want something, you want the real stuff, you want the meat and potatoes, you're getting that here. I don't care if you like me. I don't give a if you think I'm the best mentor or not. I will teach you exactly how to rip this apart and build a life for yourself. And it's costing you nothing but the effort and time that you put into it. If you fail, you have failed. And the only way that failure occurs is if you quit. That's it. That's how quitting affects you. That's failure. The people that feel like they want to quit but keep pressing into it, they're the ones that are getting all these big payouts. They're the ones that are making the point of, I don't have to work anymore. I quit my job. They had people just like you that doubted them. They have people that still can't believe that they made it. And believe me, I guarantee you, they have a whole lot of people that are envious because they wanted them to fail. They wanted them to fail so they can say, see, I told you, you're just like us. You're just like us. You're never going to be able to do it. So you should have just listened to us when we told you don't bother. Those are the people that you cut off. You don't make your business theirs. You don't give the wheel to them because they're going to steer your ass right into a fucking tree. As much as you may think they love you, and they very well may love you, but they don't love you doing better than them. I'm going to say that again. Your friends and your family, they may love you, but they don't love you doing better than them. And that's true, especially when they tell you you shouldn't be doing what you're doing here. It's a pipe dream. Let me tell you something. You know what's the sweetest thing in the world? Here's the sweetest thing in the world. Every Monday morning when I wake up, I stretch out my bed and look around my room. And I'm like, you know what I ain't got to do today? Go to work. You know what my aunt and uncles and my cousins and my best friends growing up through school are doing today? Going to work. I wonder what they're thinking about right now. I'm only thinking about them because I don't have to do what they're doing. They're thinking about how much they don't want to be going where they got to go to get their money. Who's in a better position here? It has nothing to do with arrogance. This is how you combat, okay? All these people around you, unless they're telling you, go, don't stop, dig in, you are going to do this, then you tell them nothing. If you suspect that they're not going to support you 100%, why even invite them into the conversation? Don't. Because if you love what you're doing here and you want to make this your life and your career, and you want to pass the skill set on to your kids, should you ever decide to have kids, you're going to be thankful that you stuck in this. It's hard. It absolutely is hard. But so is exercise and working out. You think everybody has these beautiful, symmetrical, physiques that are aesthetically pleasing. Everybody strives for the bikini body, the summer body. You think they just got that because they watch it on TV and watch exercise videos? That's the same thing you're expecting to do when you watch ICT videos. When you're watching me teach this stuff, I mean, if you're going to put your ass in front of the video or sit down and listen to me, okay, all I'm doing is giving you the instructions on what to do, just like that exercise video. You're not getting the repetition, benefits that they're doing. They're sweating their ass off. They're making ad revenue off of you watching or purchasing their program. They don't give a few exercise or not. They don't care. But here, I'm reminding you constantly, if you're just watching my videos and being entertained or using them as a lullaby to go to sleep, some of you people do, that's cool. Bottom line is you have to do the work. What is that work? What I'm going to put you through this year. And you'll see it's fun. It's actually fun. In the beginning, it'll feel like, what am I doing here? A couple weeks of it, you'll say, oh, I'm starting to see it now. And those observations, the things that you see that I don't talk about, that is where you start mining. Meaning that's the direction that your personal personality, your unique perspective on price, that is starting to be activated. You're starting to see things in price and you need to pay attention to it. It doesn't mean go on Twitter and say, ICT, I found this right here. And what do you think? It doesn't matter what I think. If it's resonating with you, it's your business. I'm not trying to mind your business. But the things that start making sense to you in the live streams, that's the beginning foundation to what you're going to be focusing on as a trader. You're not going to see why I'm calling a specific level important. Why are you picking that candle? But then when I talk about a fair value gap, you're like, oh, yeah, it makes sense to me. So what does that mean? You're not an order block trader. It doesn't mean I don't understand order blocks. Fair value gaps, I can see that easily. I'm going to conquer order blocks because something's there and I don't understand it. I'm going to waste my time doing something harder than I could just simply follow what I see easily, the fair value gap. And either one of these things could be interchanged with whatever PD array. That's the part that most of you don't realize. You only need one. You could completely carve out your entire career with one model, one entry technique, your multiplier. That multiplier is the pattern that you key up on every single time you go into the marketplace. If there's not a breaker, you're not trading it. If there isn't a fair value gap, you're not trading it. That wasn't your trade. Maturity is, I don't need that trade because I know all these other instances where my model is going to speak and I'll be able to activate a trade right there. And I won't worry about anything else except for the trade I'm in. I'm managing myself and I'm managing the trade I'm in. FTX drama is going on. I don't worry about who's in office in the United States, who's getting replaced in another country. I don't give about none of that stuff. I'm in a trade. I'm watching that market. I'm only giving a shit about that market. That's it. My focus is dialed in. I don't give a about what these other influencers are talking about on their live streams. I don't give a about what they're trading. I don't give a why they think this market's better than that market. Why aren't you trading the ES over the NQ? Why are you trading NQ, not the ES? Why aren't you trading Dow? I don't like Dow. Okay, it's too spotty. I have lots of students that make money with it. I personally don't like it. Now, I use it for macro analysis when I'm looking for it to confirm the averages, basically Dow theory. Market breadth is strong if they're all in agreement. That means if they're all moving in the same direction, then that's a healthy market and it's more likely to sustain its move if it's on a higher time frame. But I don't trade Dow. I'll trade NQ, NASDAQ, or I'll trade ES predominantly. ES, in my opinion, okay, if you had to say, Michael, you cannot trade any other market the rest of your life, what's the market? The S&P. Any market but the S&P, ICT, bonds, the 30-year treasury bond. What's the other market? Oh, then it would be NASDAQ. Okay, apart from those three, if you had to pick one market, what would you trade? Nothing right now. Now, does that give you the order of importance now? I constantly see these same questions coming up. Did you ever think about what I just said is what I said. That's it. After 30 years of doing it, that's it. The only reason why I stopped trading Forex is because I believe that we're about to see something pretty devastating in terms of currencies. I don't want to be caught offside when that happens. Also, the currency markets are rather sloppy. It took basically an entire month for dollar to get down to our target that I mentioned in the first week of January. Go back and watch that video. Dollar went down to that fair value gap right in the middle of it. And for those who don't understand what I'm referring to, you'll see it in the analysis on Sunday. It went right down to consequent encroachment on the fair value gap on the daily chart. And look at the reaction we had the last 2 days. Boom! Pound only went to one target, and euro went to all of them. Now, how many times did I call the S&P and NASDAQ? And how many times did it deliver? See the difference there? But Michael, why aren't you trading Forex? Picture's worth 1,000 words. If I'm not where the market's really going to be moving, I'm going to go to where it's moving easiest. I want the real clean price runs. And that's been going on in index futures. Should Forex start getting wild again, start really opening up, then I'll be more active in Forex. But right now, it's not worth my time. I'm not suggesting that you stop trading if that's what you do. Don't let me, I'm not trying to influence you, but you're asking me. So I'm telling you. I read a tweet I guess it was this morning. Guy says, ICT, it's time for me to go. You know, you're talking about futures. I'm only in Forex. I've learned how to trade. Thank you. I'm out of here. Okay, wonderful. That's exactly what I'm looking. I want independence. I'm not heartbroken over that. All right, I'm done, ICT. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm making money. Appreciate you. See you. I'm not going to leaving me. I want you to leave me, okay? I want you to leave me happy, satisfied, profitable, knowing what they're doing. No regrets. That's exactly what a mentor should want. That's what you should want from your mentor. Not keep paying me. I love you. Keep paying me. You will get what you put into this year. That's what you're going to get. If you half-ass it, that's the result you're going to get. If you pour yourself into it and really be diligent about what you're doing, studying and focusing and being organized with your journaling, I'm telling you, it's going to totally transform every aspect of your analysis, your thought processes as a trader, and your executions will be much cleaner. You'll be more refined. You won't make a rush judgment. Your executions will be much fewer, but more of a quality entry versus, I'm afraid I'm going to miss it. Let me just jump in here now in case it runs away without me. Or it went down to where you should have went, but then I want to see if it really reacts there the way I'm expecting price. And then it does, and you chase a little bit. That stuff will be refined, and you'll see less of that. Only if you put the work into it. And be okay with the outcome. This is where you want to mess up. This is where you want to find out you did it wrong. You don't want to do that with your live account, trading with a funded account or your own money. You don't want to discover that you don't know how to manage yourself or your emotions or the psychological weight of being in risk. You don't want to learn that while you're out there in it. You want to master that progressively so that way you're not influenced. Once you've done months of back testing and tape reading, and you've done months of demoing, wait a minute, I need to make money right now. You're going to fail, okay? You want the honesty, you want the truth, you're going to fail. I'm not here to see you fail. I don't want any of you to fail. I want you to get out there and kill it. Replace your job, double that income. I want you to have all that and more. But I'm a practical realist. I know that that doesn't work like that. It takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of unlearning, and you all have things that I'm not aware of, which are character flaws. I don't know what your character flaw is. I don't know if you're impatient, impulsive, reckless, doubtful, stubborn, not willing to take a loss. That's a hard one for everybody. Can you be wrong and not lose your mind about it all and think, oh, I got to get it all back right now? I'm going to put you in a demo trade this year. I'm going to tell you to put this trade on. When I tell you to do that, do not do that with a live account because I'm going to put you in a losing trade. And I'm going to close the stream at the end of it and tell you don't try to get it back until the next live stream. And I want you to think about what that feels like and if it was real money, how hard that would be, how devastating and irritating and just, ugh, it's like a mosquito bite. You know it's there. You know damn well you shouldn't scratch it. Because if you scratch it, this makes it worse. And that's exactly what you experience when you have a losing trade with live funds and you did not learn how to trade. You're going to go back to scratching it. And the only thing it does, it makes it bigger and it's just worse. That's what drawdown does. And then drawdown becomes what? A blown account, a lost funded account, regret, misery. All of that stuff's avoidable. You don't see it like that now because you haven't endured it yet. But some of you think that you're never going to have that problem, or you'll be fine if it happens. No, you won't. You won't be fine. You'll be marred and scarred, and now you're damaged goods because now you have to trade with that the rest of your life. I'm going to tell you something. This is why I like listening to people that actually trade with real money and have been doing it longer than a couple years or in recent couple months. Most people on YouTube are just now getting into a funded account. They never had their own real account, but they're all authorities now. I love listening to people that's been doing it is at least half as long as I have and longer. And I love listening to their wisdom of what they had to conquer in themselves. I don't give a shit about how they trade because I'm not interested in that. I don't think there's anything better for me to do except for what I've done. Now, I would say that regardless of how I trade. So what happens is my students hear that and they think, yeah, I'm going to go over here and tell this guy that's trading Elliott Wave, you're a clown. You're not trading order blocks of fair value gas, bitch. You're nobody. You're street money. I don't tell you to do that. I don't want you to do that. That's stupid. Okay. But I would have this mindset regardless if I was trading moving average crossovers and if I was consistently profitable. That's just me. That's my confidence. That's a strength in me. But it was a character flaw when I was 20 because I was parading around like a peacock on America Online with banter that said I was smarter than I really was, and I didn't know what I was doing. And the market showed me I didn't know what I was doing, and that was very painful. You don't want to have that experience because as a man, there was years ago I would have never admitted that. In my early 30s, it was just coming to the point where I was like, you know what? Yeah, that was embarrassing. I shouldn't have done that. But now I realize there's benefit in telling you as a student, you don't want to have that experience. It's shameful, number one. It's something that is, in my opinion, it's repulsive behavior because nobody really wants to see somebody gloating. Like, look at me. I sometimes facetiously play around with it on Twitter, okay? But when you listen to me and I'm talking to you and I'm teaching you, you can hear the reality, okay? I mean, yes, I think I'm better than the average bear, but I'm not bragging, okay? And I don't want any of you to adopt that mindset either. But when you have character flaws, and I'm going to say this part and we're going to close it because I'm hungry. When you have character flaws, it's easy to, number one, observe them when you get in this industry. All of those character flaws are going to shape you as the trader. For instance, when I first started, 1992, I was scared to death of putting on that first trade. I was so scared. Like I wanted to get in there, and a couple things moved without me. Soybean meal, I was looking at that market, and it moved, and I was afraid to do anything. I just let it go. I looked at cocoa. These are all commodity markets because that's how I started as a commodity trader. And cocoa moved, and I was like, damn, if I would have done that, I would have made $500. And I was like, okay, and how the heck did I get into orange juice? Think about it. I was afraid to enter. So my weakness, my character flaw was what? Doubt in myself, which was realistic because I didn't know what I was doing. So my subconscious was saying, you need to sit down. You don't know what the hell you're doing. But the gambler in me, who was in control, said, I got to do something because I just let 2 winning trades go. And I didn't do, well, 3 strikes, you're out, right? So I looked at orange juice. I said, oh, it's going to move. I'm afraid to get in orange juice because what happens if it has a limit move? It's really thin. That should have been the reason why I shouldn't be trading it. But I was saying, oh, well, I want to get in there. I've never traded options before. Never had any idea what I was doing options. No idea. I said, well, I think it's going to move. Let me buy some protection. I'll pay $1,500 for my option. That was the premium I paid. Plus the $100 commission. Investments trade cost me. That's what it cost me for one contract. $100. That's an IQ test in itself. But I plunked my money down. I missed the soybean meal trade. I missed the cocoa trade. I ain't missing orange juice. I'm in there. But just in case I'm wrong, let me do it with an option. I paid the $1,500 premium. The very next day, orange juice opens up. My option premium is now $750. No, that doesn't mean I made $750 for those that don't know what I'm talking about. It means that I paid $1,500 for something now that is worth $750. It took one night of sleep to lose half of what the premium was I paid. What the just happened? Here's what happened. I started trading with real money before I knew how to trade. And then I traded impulsively because I was fearful I was going to miss the next trade that was the third one in the line of two previous winning ideas that I didn't execute on. And I made a stupid choice of listening to some clown on another message board said, you don't want to trade with futures because the underlying risk is unlimited. But with options, you can only lose what you paid. Whoa, what do you do? Here you go. Here's a perfect poster child of a loser trade right here. Boom, everything wrong. Impulsiveness, trying to get in. I have to prove that I'm trading with a live account. I got to get in there. I want to see results. And I did everything I shouldn't have done. I knew nothing about options. An option was overpriced. The volatility built up into it was too much. The premiums were expensive. And the option writer made 50% overnight. And I lost half my money. And in that one transaction, it took me 20 minutes to immediately get on the phone and say, listen, sell it at market, send me the rest in a check. One trade, and immediately I shut that bitch down. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm going to tell you something. For some of you students that have been around for a while, you heard this story more times than you want to hear it. But I'm going to tell you something else. There's people that need to hear it. You've learned the lesson, but new people are coming to me all the time. And they see what I'm able to do. They see me executing. They see me calling the market live now. And they're thinking I'm a superhero. Like this guy can't do anything wrong. Wrong. I am a human being. I am capable of doing it wrong. And when I first started, I was the perfect poster child of doing everything wrong. And I'm telling you, it's so hard to overcome the damage that did. Oh, it's only one transaction. No. When you're obsessively compulsive like I am, like that's like my wife cheating on me. It's equivalent to that. It feels like what the, and you can't undo it. It's 30 years ago. And I can remember what it felt like. I felt gutted. I'm like, there has to be something wrong with this data. There's no way that's accurate. No, it's right. I'm like, what the? $750 back then, folks. Let me tell you something. I didn't even earn half that in a week. Yeah. It was bad. Like that was like, what the hell? It took the wind out of my sails. Let me tell you something. It's stories like this where people that are traders today that have made money and they're consistently profitable and they're worth listening to. I love listening to that because that's what shapes who they are. It's the Mickey Mouse that are constantly talking about how they made money. Oh, look at the withdrawal this did. Here's the trade I just did. Here's the 50R trade I did. When's the last time you did something wrong? And what did you learn from it? That's what I'm interested in. Because anybody can get lucky. I got lucky. I got lucky for a while and made money. That doesn't mean you're skillful. But if you had a adverse experience in this industry and you were able to overcome that and turn it around and use it as a strength. Thought I forgot about what I was going with earlier, right? My weakness in the beginning was fear of getting in. My fear of trading predominantly was founded on fear of entering. I was afraid I was going to do that part wrong. So most of my work in my whole trading career was looking for an arsenal of ways to get in. Why did I need so many entry techniques? Because I was afraid of missing the move. I'm not missing. I got a 12 gauge in my hand every time the market opens up. I got dozen ways to get in that move and not chase. That's what I show you all the time when I'm doing pyramid entries. I'm showing you that every one of these can be the individual model that you employ, and not one of them is superior than the other ones. Some of you think, oh, I want to learn how to do that pyramiding. When I want you to just focus on the fact that any one of those pyramid entries, and what I mean by that is when I put a trade on and I'm adding more to it, every single time I do that, that would be the very instance if I hadn't traded or entered it earlier at all, I would use that as my primary entry. If you can't justify your pyramid entry on the basis of that, you're gambling, you're guessing. Every one of your entries, when you're adding to a position, it should be able to stand on its own, as that's the sole reason why you enter the trade. If you were never entered or built in a position prior to that entry. And when I learned how to pyramid, it was not taught to me that way. I was just taught, as soon as you can afford to do so, buy it. That was Ken Roberts' approach. And I lost money trading Ken Roberts. I was never profitable doing anything. It was an introduction to trading. That's all it was. And it introduced me to failure, toxic thinking. It produced everything I'm trying to keep you from having. I'm trying to be, if I could go back in time, I'm trying to be the very person I wish I would have met. Because I would have listened to everything I'm telling you to do and avoid doing. I would have done that. After seeing what I'm able to show you and call beforehand, execute, prove it, if I existed as a person outside of myself in 1992, I would have threw that in the trash on November 5th and immediately just poured everything into what I'm trying to give to you. And I would have looked at no one else. I'm not trying to cultivate a hive mentality where you only listen to me. I'm just saying I know what I needed and I couldn't find it in anything else or anyone else back then. And the resources that you have available, like the fact that you're listening to me right now, you're all doing something right now. Maybe you're driving, maybe you're working, maybe you're working out, maybe you're getting ready to fall asleep. Maybe some of you fell asleep already. And so some of you are sitting there diligently with a notepad writing down things and listening to this and thinking, wow, I never looked at it like that. Wow, I didn't think he had hardships before. I just figured he knew everything and never had a problem. No, it was a lot of work, a lot of prayer got me here. But my fear of missing a move and fear of doing it wrong was my first barrier. And I plunged in with some stupid as my first transaction, knowing not one thing about options. Nothing. I knew nothing about it. I learned a lot waking up the next day. Options. I ain't doing that. So my career began as pursuing precision entry techniques because my pursuit was I have to overcome my fear of picking the wrong entry point. And now I'm known all around the world for having all kinds of highly precise entry points and techniques to engage the marketplace. So I turned my weakness into my strength today. Think about that. That stuff comes from someone that went through the trenches. And I love listening to seasoned traders that share observations about their own development, the things that they endured, what they turned around on their own trading, what benefited them, and how it was contrary to what they first got into the industry thinking this is what they should have focused on versus what they later found out was more appropriate, what should have been a majority of their time and concern early on. And I try to do that in my teachings and in my lectures with all of you. And I know sometimes it's dry. Okay, sometimes it's really boring. And I think the reason why you guys like these Twitter spaces is because number one, you get to listen to Ratchet ICT, the unfiltered me, where you see and hear my chemical imbalances when they occur. In the YouTubes, I filter that out, and that's why it's boring. Like it's like, I mean, I get it. It's a boring librarian kind of guy talking to you. Here, you know, when you hear me get passionate about it, you're like, oh, you know, you perk your ears up. It breaks up the monotony of the learning and also introduces reality. Like there's a real person that's talking to you. You know, I had real downside. I had real adversities. I lost real money. I've blown several accounts early on, chasing things that I thought were the last bastion of technical analysis that, you know, I better jump on it right now or it's going to stop working. Stop thinking that way. The market's going to book the way the market's going to book. It matters not how many people are buying or selling it. It's going to do what it's going to do. And it's seeking liquidity and it's rebalancing in any inefficiency. If it's not doing that, it's going to consolidate. That's it. So when we sit down and we're looking at markets, the number one criteria is, should you be trading today? Is it likely to be ugly, consolidating and choppy? And I've done a lot of work to produce a list of days where I don't think it's good for me to do that. When's it likely to be choppy and consolidating and just do nothing, where it could just chop you up and go sideways? The day before a high impact news event like non-farm payroll, a rate announcement, CPI. Oh, but ICT, I made so much money on the day before. I'm talking about me, my personal experience. I'm looking for a specific element in price that I like to operate in. You want to chase whatever you're chasing, you made money? Well done. Who am I to say that you didn't make money? I'm not showing up on your channel. I'm not going in your comment section. Do you see me going around anybody else's channel saying, dude, you're a clown, you're not trading my stuff, so therefore you're an idiot? But you have people on the outside coming to my audience. I'm not in your audience, you're in my audience. And you're saying that this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and there's no proof, and everybody's making money and bringing their receipts and being interviewed by these companies. It's not me doing that. They're not photoshopping funded account certificates. The companies themselves are interviewing them. You see their names on the leaderboards up there. They're getting paid. Okay, so I think that more is made about image in this industry than practicality. And I have tried to be as practical as humanly possible and still keep people awake. Because there's a lot of dryness to this. And in the beginning, it was all dry when I first started. It was all books, it was all dry, there was no videos unless you purchased them. And you didn't have the access to people that, number one, if they were profitable, they ain't telling you. They're not telling you, they're not teaching you nothing. They're not teaching you their best stuff. Fuck that shit. They finally found it, right? And that's understandable. But the way they marketed everything back in the 90s and the 80s and such, they made it seem like they themselves are the only thing ever, which is what everybody else says they think I'm doing. I'm not saying I'm the only one that can be profitable, that my students are the only ones that are profitable. I'm the only one that gets the heart of why price books. But you can be profitable within a quarter. I'm not arguing that. I just wrestle with these opinions that are strong-armed against me and my community, where they say, oh, there is no word that's not going to be mentioned, and we're not going to have, consistency and precision when we can. Like these people out there in this industry are like at some point it makes you wonder like are they really this opinionated or are they being encouraged to just put out there misinformation? Because anybody that sits on the fence and just takes somebody else's opinion, whether it be about me and what I teach and my students or anything, and they let anybody else frame their opinion for them or provide their mindset about a thing, whether it be trading or anything, to me is unfortunate because it provides the clearest indication that you're not really equipped to be a trader. Because really what you're doing is you're looking for somebody else to give you your thought process. And how anybody would do that and be able to live with themselves is beyond me. Like I am a result of hard work, yes, but I'm also a result of a lot of prayer and belief and blessing. All the work in the world didn't get me here. All the effort in the world didn't get me here. Believing in other people's thoughts and the internalization of price and how the markets book did not get me here. Being contrarian to everything out there did. I opened this discussion up today with everybody in this retail part of the world, okay, in trading. They all learn the same stuff. Diagonal trend line support and resistance, moving average crossovers, oscillators, patterns for pattern's sake, and 2% risk. Where's all the yachts? Where's all the mansions? Where's all the evidence that they can do it precisely beforehand? It's incredible how that doesn't exist. But they write books, they make courses, and they sell themselves on social media as the ones that are capable of doing that. I come to you with a demo. I stand out here in front of the entire world. Some ridicule me. Some people don't give it as the right mindset. I prove to you where price is going to go. Conceptually, with a theory that repeats, on a narrative that is understood. I'm highly focused. It's transferable knowledge. It has nothing to do with image. I don't present my image in my personal life. I've done it one time to answer, and the promise that they're made didn't get answered the way they said. If you prove that you have these cars, I did, and it's never going to be enough. So what I live in, what I drive, how I spend my money, what I wear, how I cut my hair, is irrelevant. Are you going to be able to make your rent payment this November? Pay your utility bill by knowing how many Corvettes I own, how big my square footage of my house is, how many garages do I have, what do I feed my dogs, what's my favorite shoe. I like when you guys ask me what fragrance I wear because I'm a frag head, but I don't think that all the things that people say about me or concern themselves about with me is even worth mentioning. I'm just a guy that I want to help you. And if you test the things I'm telling you to test, the evidence will be there for you to decide whether or not you want to pursue it. It costs you nothing. You'll know. Spend a month. If there's some logic to it, you'll see it right away. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. No one can tell you didn't see what you watched me do publicly now. But years later from now, there will be people that creep up and try to discredit everything that you witnessed. We've been seeing it for a year and a half. It's been like that. It was the same way when I was on America Online. The same thing still goes on today. They will lie and say, you didn't see what you saw. You didn't understand what was about to happen in the marketplace when it was explained to you beforehand. Who's really nuts here? Who's really stupid? The people that lets other people frame their narrative and their viewpoint and their opinion about something. Because if you are allowing anyone to tell you what you should or shouldn't do as a trader or who to learn from, and you have never put the time and effort into the seeing whether there is any validity, you're an idiot and you have no business being a trader because you're not independently thinking for yourself, number one. You're allowing other people to influence you. When as a trader, I don't give a who's doing what. I could be in the marketplace buying and selling, whatever I'm doing. And somebody that has a bigger following than me, maybe has a better command of an audience segment of this industry, and they may be opposed diametrically to the idea I have in my trade. I am not looking at my trade saying, "Uh-oh, let me get out of this." Nope, nope, because I know what I'm looking for. Nothing changes my opinion about the market or the trade I'm in except for the price itself. I'm not influenced in my thought process about the marketplace. I'm not swayed in my opinion about the things that I use and implement in trading. I'm not changing and tinkering anything. I'm not changing any settings. I'm not adding to, I'm not reducing. It's always the same thing. It's the same stuff every single day. Why? Because the market's doing the same every day. Time and price. How does the market know what pattern to use today? What harmonic pattern to use today? What school of thought? Is it Elliott wave today? Is it Wyckoff? Is it supply and demand? Is it Dow theory? Is it volume profile? VSA? Think, folks. Think. Every school of thought, every single one of them out there, they will never agree on everything at the same time. But you know what agrees? Time and price. The open, high, low, and close doesn't lie. It can't hide, and it ain't going to change. Okay, so there's no reason for you to be worrying about how much I teach you this and how many more people come into the party. It will not change. It just makes it better because there's more volume. There's more participation. That means what? Liquidity. More people in there doing it. It's going to be more. It's going to be more of a fun engagement. It's not that. All right, everybody's doing the same thing, so therefore, it's going to stop. Think about the logic in that. How many books have been written about supply and demand? How about volume profile? Why aren't the guys that do volume profile worrying about, there's more people learning the volume profile. We better not teach that. It's all over YouTube too. It doesn't have my logo plastered on it. But the point is it's the same argument. You're worrying about things that are not something that you should be worrying about. Here's what's never going to stop happening, okay? The market's going to open at a predetermined time. They're going to close at a predetermined time. That's a constant. It's not going to change. There's a holiday schedule that we follow. Sometimes we'll have a shortened trading session, or sometimes we'll have a completely closed trading session. That's time. That's not going to change. That's a constant. The open, the high, the low, and the close, those three price points, they're never going to change. There's a beginning point, there's the highest and the lowest, and when it closes, time and price. What it does and what liquidity it seeks and what inefficiency remains in the price, that is the variable. But those variables repeat over and over again in a format that is easily understood and identifiable. Last statement, and we're done. This Tuesday, I want you to think about what I'm walking you through. For the folks that are here or dabble in my videos and think, wow, this is a lot of shit here. How do I get through all this? How do I cut down to the meat? Get through all the fat, all the talking. What's something I can go out there and start working with? Here's what you're going to see, okay? We're going to look at Tuesday. Now, I don't know what Tuesday price action is going to be. Like, I don't genuinely know. I don't know if it's going to be a day. I don't know if it's going to be a trending day. I don't know. I don't know. It's just going to be the day that I first sit down and there it is. So if you've been a student of mine, you know that it's the first Tuesday of February. That's the general rule. That's when I resume live trading. Okay. Anything in January, I usually don't even watch the charts. But because I want to be doing it live in front of you, I don't want to be rusty. I want to be close to the marketplace, and my finger's been on the pulse. But we sit down in front of these charts. I sit down in front of these charts. As a technician, I'm looking for the answer to one question first. Are we in a condition that is favorable for high probability trading? How do I arrive at the answer to that? I look at the economic calendar. What's the economic calendar for today? Is it loaded with high impact or medium impact news events? Or is it lacking any of that, but has those very things the next day? So in terms of day of week, we're going to be live streaming on Tuesday. So the economic calendar, I have not looked at. Hand to God, I've not looked at that economic calendar. I don't know if there is or isn't. I don't know. I'm going to do everything right for the first time on the live stream. I'm going to pull up the websites. I'm going to show you exactly what I walk through, exactly what I'm doing every time I sit down in front of my charts. That's hard that you don't see. All that stuff that's not in the videos. Okay. I'm going to do that very thing. That way you know, oh, okay, well, that makes sense now. It's not a lot. It's not acrobatics. Okay. It's requiring you to do all kinds of contortions and, meditations. It's simple, straightforward. But if there is a lack of news drivers today, but there's going to be a big news event tomorrow, we could potentially be in a listless trading condition. That means it's not a lot of animation, not a movement. So you have to be a real small, short-term scalper working on a 1 and 5 minute chart and be content with that. Or do nothing and wait for it to the next day where that has a high impact news driver. So there's your answer to the equation of, is it going to be a favorable position or day for trading with high probability? High probability of what? Seeing a nice sustained price run where it has multiple points of entry and allows at least 2 exits for partials before it reaches terminus. Oh, that's pretty practical. That's some real bones right there. I can work with that ICT, right? But you're not going to get that in the first hour of the fucking sessions, are you? you gotta walk this mile with me, baby. Okay? You brought road snacks, but some of you tapped out already. You didn't get that nugget. And then besides that, the next question is, okay, if there's going to be a favorable day, worth trading, not chopped up and chewed up into pieces. You want something that's clean, that has an opportunity to run, not have a strong probability of retracing against you and hit a stop loss that you want to use, hopefully. Are you bullish or are you bearish? How do we know that? We're using on the weekly chart. What's the weekly chart likely to do? Expand higher, expand lower. That's your premise going in. Premise is not narrative and it's not bias. It's just where we start from. And then we look at the lay of the land. What's the chart showing us? What did it do overnight in London? What did it do the last 2 days? Because we're on day 3 right now. The last 3 days, previous highs and lows. That's where your word that won't be named is going to reach for liquidity. Already in a few couple sentences, you're already seeing, wow, I can see a routine in this. Yep, it's the same routine every day. But you'll hear people say it's complicated. I'm not overcomplicating. I'm giving you a PhD level education. And you can streamline this down into the leanest, meanest model you can ever come up with very few moving parts. But binary, if then syntax. You got to know what you're looking for. If it does this, then you do that. If it does this but not that, you do nothing. I'm walking you through that real time with a chart. There'll be a session portion that, before the markets open up, we're doing this. So that way we have an idea, an expectation of what we're looking for. And if this does not pan out, what would constitute a reversal? Not every situation brings that, but I'm going to frame out what would cause that. It's not plan A, plan B, and that whatever one pans out, I'm right. The daft will think that, but the folks that are really learning, they'll see, oh, these are conditions. These are things that would support the idea of the trade, but it would no longer support the trade if it does this. What is that? You'll see it in the chart. I'm going to explain it to you because it's a varying situation, trade by trade. But the rules are pretty much the same way. But you have to see it a few times to understand what I mean by that. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not adding new content. I'm showing you exactly what it is that you should be focusing on. And by doing that day by day, even when I'm not doing a live session, you should do this for yourself. Do the same things that I walk through. And don't be afraid if the outcome for what you're studying doesn't pan out the way you expect it to. There are opportunities for you to learn when it does that. And you don't want to learn the lesson with a live account that you didn't know what you were doing when you were just hoping it was going to make you money before you knew how to trade. And then once we identify if we're bullish or bearish, we're going to work out a narrative. What should happen? What should price try to do? If it's bullish, what should it try to do? What level of manipulation? What liquidity should it reach for? What shouldn't it reach for? And how should we expect the price to deliver? And then when the market starts booking price, you'll hear me call every candle. This is what we want to see. We don't want to see this. This is what we should see. There's nobody doing that. Everybody out there pretending they figured out my enigma, you'll never see them call every single 1 minute candle and outline exactly what it's supposed to do. Well, I'm going to do it all year long. Week after week, you're going to see it. Okay? So if you want to see somebody pour everything into you, I'm doing it. I'm daddy. All you have to do is show up. Take notes, and I promise you, the end of this year will be worth celebrating. You will be in a location, mindset-wise, experience-wise, and skill set-wise that you can't fully appreciate yet. But once you arrive there, you're going to remember this conversation, sitting here listening to this. You're going to know exactly what I meant then. Not now. You're excited for it now. But when you're there, no one's going to be able to take it from you. No one's going to cause you to doubt it. No one's going to make you feel like you wasted your time. You will have arrived. You'll know exactly what you're doing, when you're supposed to do it, why you're doing it, and when not to do something. You will not feel like you have to second guess what you're doing. You won't be influenced by anybody else. You probably won't even be on social media anymore afterwards. And that's a good thing. Your circle of influence will be the person in the mirror, as it should be as a trader. And I'm excited to see what all of you do with it. And I'm hoping that you're forthcoming with it. Don't be greedy with it and try to hide it and pretend and go around pretending you figured something out on your own, because there's a lot of you now that know my content, you're familiar with it, and you can see when people are calling, renaming it and doing other content with it. You'll be ridiculed by that. You'll get more respect if you're just honest and say, you know what, I went through the task of going through it, like you said, and I'm my own trader now, and I'm using these concepts. That's awesome. I got all the respect for that. If you do well, I'll bump you. I got no problem. I'm not hiding people. I'm trying to promote you. There's nothing in me that's trying to slow you down. I guarantee you there ain't one out there that's teaching paid or for free that's pouring more into anybody than I am. Because I know where I'm taking you. I know the outcome of this. Not for all of you, but for the ones that put the work in, I already know. And I can't wait. I can't wait for you to understand exactly what I mean by that. Because once you feel it and you experience it, that's empowerment. That is confidence. That's not arrogance. That's not pride. That's confidence. The thing that you're lacking right now. You think you're confident your job needs you right now. It doesn't need you. You need it. You lie to yourself. You lie and say, that company needs me. Nope, it doesn't. And there's going to be a whole lot of people this year getting laid off, made redundant, and it's going to get worse into 2024. And what you're learning is a hedge against that. You may not be laid off. You may not be sacked, but you might not get a raise. And that would be impactful to you, wouldn't it? This gives you the ability to give yourself a fucking raise whenever the few want. You want a new car? How much does it cost? Okay, let's figure this out. I need this many pips, this many points. Over the next 4 months, I can pay that bitch off in cash. Done. And not even drain anything and put yourself behind the 8 ball with all the other rules and goals that you have for yourself in your trading. Imagine this, okay? And I promise this is it because I'm starving now. ICT. You keep saying you're going to stop. You keep going. I over deliver. Don't you complain about it, okay? Don't you complain to me about getting more than what you paid for, okay? Nobody does that. Sit down. Imagine the power of saying, you know what? And this is not repping any specific funded account or company. And I think if there's anything that should be looked upon as maybe not lasting forever, it's that. I don't think the funded account type thing is going to be a thing for long term. I might be wrong. I'm wrong, but it's unregulated in a lot of ways, and I think that will eventually be affected. But that need not be a concern. Okay, I'll talk about this year how you can find ways to get money with the skill set that you'll learn. Because believe me, there's lots of ways to do that. You don't need funded accounts to do it. But let's just say, for instance, once you get to the point at the end of this year, you know what you're doing. How many of you own your own home? How many of you rent? How many of you have a home with no mortgage? How many of you want a home with no mortgage? How many of you want a home with no mortgage and a new car with no car note? Now imagine at the end of this year, you have this skill set. You know how you can go in and get 25 handles per week out of the S&P. Multiple ways to do it, but you know with confidence, 25 handles is easy. You look around and you see a house you like. Okay? It may not be $2 million, 9,000 square feet, but it may be something that you would love to live in. You think to yourself, wow, you know what? I'm going to work diligently to try to get the closing costs, the down payment, so that way I don't have to have a PMI, which is like the secondary mortgage that a home buyer has to pay if they don't pay at least 80% of the note on that mortgage when they first buy it at closing. Get those closing costs associated with buying it covered, okay, for that particular house. And you secure your selection on a new vehicle, not a Lamborghini because they're garbage, okay, but a new ride, something that it's reliable, something that you like, and it's economical. The best thing you as a trader can do is, number one, give yourself a nice living place and a reliable form of transportation. If you can secure that and it costs you nothing out of pocket except for the upkeep on it, you are actually in the highest bracket in the United States, because most people don't own their home and most people don't own their cars. They're paying a note of some kind. Imagine the power and confidence in knowing that, okay, I'm going to purchase this house with somebody else's money, because that's what you're doing if you're using that funded account. Yes, you're paying your monthly expense to maintain it, from what I gather from it. That's what I understand about them. But you secure the funding and you do the work to build the account up, and you get that house settled. It's in your name, but you didn't pay it off yet. And you secure your car. You didn't pay it off yet, but you're paying the notes on it through your trading. You have one account that meets those expectations, and that's it. You're not taking your results to social media. You're not doing this crazy where you're trying to look better than everybody else. You're not competing with anybody else. You're just making ends meet. And that role of that one funded account is to make the minimum expectations in terms of cost between the car and the home. Then you start a secondary account that's completely outside of the workload that you placed on that one. That's all you do with that account. Once you meet it, you stop. You stop. You don't push it anymore. It's only there to work for you. You make your car note, you make your house note, and you cover the cost of whatever that funded account monthly payment thing is that they require, whatever that is. And then you stop. You trade your other account. Your other account is the account that you're trying to do for growth. You use that to parlay up. Same 5 handles a day, 25 handles a week, and you let the heavy lifting of money management do all the work. And you work over the course of 1 calendar year with that. In 1 calendar year, you should have no problem covering the cost of that car note. Then that car note money is no longer an issue. The money that you would have been paying towards the car note, you now apply to your house note in addition to. And then now with that secondary account, you work towards building up sizable lumps that you put towards each new quarter or 6 months or in a year that you throw at that mortgage, and you pay it off inside of 3 years. You own your house and your car. You use somebody else's money with a skill set that I'm going to give you for free this year. So in 3 years, did I say you're a millionaire? No. Did I say that you could have your own home paid for and your car paid for with this skill set and give you a way of doing it and a process, a procedure to do it? I think I just outlined a model for some of you that I think is practical. It's practical. It's not high and lofty. It's not immediate gratification, and it's obtainable. Contrast that with what you are doing right now. How is what you're doing right now, if you're not doing this, if you're not part of this phenomenon, this movement of ICT and the world growing in an understanding of how to tap into these marketplaces and withdraw and harvest abundance. If you're not doing that, if you're not taking advantage of it, making it a goal for you to find another stream of income using a skill set that's transferable, if you're not doing that, what's changing in your life for the better? How are you going to get closer to those goals? Because if you don't own your own home and you don't own the car free and clear, when will you? And how will you? For some of you, I think that's a realistic goal to aim for. It might take you longer than 3 years. But if you're working towards that goal and you're seeing progress, what's wrong with it? Nothing. It's giving you a target to aim for. But what happens if you already own a home? And what happens if you already own a car, several cars? What do you set as a goal? Whatever your heart's content is. But whatever it is, you set it to paper. Write it out. This is what I want to see happen in the next 3 months. This is what I want to see next 6 months. This is the next 12 months. This is the next 3 years. Where do you want to be? What do you want to obtain? What do you want to be able to fulfill in your life? Maybe for your children. Maybe you want to help them with a home. Maybe you want to help them with their first car. Maybe it's college. Maybe you want to be able to make the ends meet for college tuition for your kid because maybe you make a little bit too much money like we were. We were unable to get college tuition for my daughter. Make too much money, they don't give it to you. Then you start an account. Its primary function is to meet that end. What's the chances of you gambling that and seeing how far you can run it up when you know it's associated to taking care of something like that? It's not likely, is it? At least it shouldn't be if you're responsible. You're investing in a major hurdle and barrier in financial terms. A home mortgage, a car note, college tuition. You make one account, you work for that, you wait for the best setups only. You don't just go in there and just, well, this looks like it might be a good setup. You're going in there and you're looking for the right setups, the right days, and you're only focusing there. And you're meeting that goal for the month. You're covering all the costs associated with doing it. And then you stop. You withdraw the money that's required to meet that threshold for expense, to meet that purchase or overcome it. And once it's done, you'll look back and say, you know what? I have mastered money. Money is not victimizing me. I'm not hurt by a lack of money. I will never worry about a lack of money. I have mastered money. I have mastered my finances because I don't see bills as a problem. Bills, everybody has. Everybody, whether you're rich, millionaire or not, we all have expenses. I don't worry about expenses. I don't think about, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do about this? If there's a bill that comes up, it's getting paid. If I know there's a big, large expense coming, I know how to do it. I know how I'm going to attack it. If it's a really large one for some of you when you're first starting out, you got to think about it as that elephant. How do you devour an elephant? One bite at a time. But you don't hear and you don't see books written about this is what you're supposed to do. Go out there and you break it down modularly. They all tell you 20R, 50R, 200R, do it all real quick and try to get it overnight. Get rich quick. Doesn't work. It does not work. Be practical with this business and this industry, because if you treat it with responsibility, the world's your oyster. Who says you can't make whatever you want to make? Who's stopping you from that? Because as far as I can tell, the only one that's stopping you is you. On that note, thank you all for hanging out with me today. I'm going to be taking Monday off, so that was a reminder. If I'm quiet on Twitter, just know that it's not because I don't like you. It just means I'm resting because Tuesday will be a lot of focus for me, okay? Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I've had fun talking with you. I hope you got something useful from all of this. Until next time, be safe.